So the electric car is a pretty decent invention. It fixes a lot, but not all, of the shortcomings of gasoline-powered cars. A lot cheaper maintenance, you don't have to pay for gas, you don't give little kids asthma driving down the street, and most people you ask will say that electric cars are indeed the future. There's even some places that are going to be banning electric cars in the near future. Now, even though I love electric vehicles, banning gas vehicles and the competition is a little bit excessive, and naturally, the best option will rise to the top, and that's what people will buy.
With no limits, no emissions, and no equals, it will leave everything you thought possible in a cloud of dust.
And that does raise the question as to why today in 2022 are electric vehicles not mainstream yet? Well, according to the data, EVs are rapidly ascending the ranks. All metrics show tremendous year-over-year growth for the industry. Tesla remains the largest single player, but others are fast approaching. For instance, Ford's EV sales increased nearly 200% last year. But even with this impressive growth, the market share of EVs, plug-in hybrids, is only around 5% depending on what you include and what country you're looking at. China is the largest marketplace for EVs, and Norway has the highest percentage of vehicles being electric. And it's no coincidence that a rich country like Norway with a GDP per capita of 66,000 has the most electric vehicle adoption. The average cost of a new EV in 2022 reached $66,000, or 37% above the average. So why is this? Well, the battery of an electric vehicle is the single most expensive component, comprising about 1/3 of the entire cost of the vehicle. And just doing a little bit of research here, the Ford F-150 Lightning has a beginning MSRP of $40,000. The Tesla Model 3 is actually pretty similar, $40,000. The Hyundai Ioniq 5, this is supposed to be more affordable because it is Hyundai after all. But again, the beginning MSRP is $40,000. But the problem is deeper than just batteries being expensive. To me, the real issue here is the weight of the battery relative to the energy density. So the battery found in the Tesla Model 3 weighs just over 1,000 pounds, and a full tank of gas in a vehicle that gets comparable range weighs about 100 pounds. So on top of being just more expensive, batteries have a lot less energy density than gasoline. In fact, I think it's 100 times less. And unfortunately, this creates a negative feedback loop when it comes to electric vehicles. So vehicle weight decreases the range. So to get more range, you add more batteries, which increases vehicle weight. You can see how this works. And the bigger the vehicle, the larger and more inefficient this feedback loop becomes. But luckily, the solution here is pretty simple. Make batteries cheaper and make them more energy dense. And that's exactly what's been happening over the past couple of decades. Prices are coming down and they're projected to continue to fall pretty rapidly. I like this piece of data a lot. So this shows the battery as a percent of the overall cost of a vehicle. And it's currently sitting around a third, 32%. And by just 2030, it's going to be around 19% of the total cost of the vehicle. And at the same time, the actual battery technology also continues to improve with higher energy densities, more reliability, faster charging, all that good stuff. So eventually, EVs will be on par with gas vehicles, both in terms of their price and their weight to performance ratio. We just have to give it potentially a decade or two. But what about now in 2022? Well, luckily for smaller vehicles, including electric motorcycles, e-bikes, battery technology is largely good enough already. Now, these vehicles aren't magical. They still have the same limiting factors as any other electric vehicle, but in the same way that scaling up made the whole negative feedback loop problem worse, scaling down actually improves the situation. And I have some calculations up here to prove it. So based off of my research, the average electric car uses 0.5 kilowatts or 500 watt hours per mile. And then this calculation is for a Sur-Ron. And the reason why I'm using a Sur-Ron is because it's somewhere in between an electric motorcycle and an e-bike. So this battery is 60 volts, 34 amp hours, giving you a total capacity just over 2,000 watt hours. And these bikes get around 40 miles of range in that configuration. So doing some simple calculations, These bikes use roughly 51 watt-hours per mile, significantly more efficient than electric cars. So Sur-Ron weighs about 110 pounds total. The battery consists of 20 pounds of that weight, and when you consider the weight of the actual rider, most of the energy in the situation is being used to move you, not the battery. And just for fun, if you take a look at the other end of the spectrum, so for massive trucks, the numbers get insane. So based off of my research, the Tesla Semi is supposed to have roughly a 1 megawatt hour battery capacity, so that's 1 million watt hours. And with that battery, it's supposed to have roughly 500 miles of range. The best guess is that this thing is going to weigh over 10,000 pounds empty, meaning that in order to move itself, it's going to require 2,000 watt hours of power per mile. And that's why with current day technology, the Tesla Semi doesn't exist yet. So electric vehicles are clearly an improvement and iteration on gas cars. But with current day technology, batteries are both expensive and they're very heavy considering their energy density. So the bigger the vehicle, the more energy it needs to move, requiring more batteries, which increases its weight. These problems will alleviate themselves over time as technology gets better. But if you want an electric vehicle today, I encourage you to scale down. Look at an e-bike, an electric motorcycle, because here the ratios are a lot more reasonable. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think of this topic in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys next time.